When you think of the most unforgiving corner of our planet, your mind almost certainly drifts to the bottom of the globe. Antarctica is, quite simply, a land of extremes. It is a staggering landmass, larger than the entire continent of Europe and nearly double the size of Australia. Yet, despite its scale, it remains the only continent on Earth without a native human population. It is a realm defined by isolation, boasting the titles of the coldest, driest, and windiest place in existence. It's so hostile that it isn't just humans who steer clear. Most of the animal kingdom treats Antarctica like a no-fly zone. Contrary to what you might see in old cartoons, there are no polar bears here. They are strictly Arctic residents. In fact, if you're looking for the largest animal that lives on the Antarctic mainland year-round, you'll have to look down, way down. The reigning heavyweight champion of the Antarctic interior is the Antarctic midge, Belgica antarctica. It's a wingless insect roughly the size of a pea. This tiny creature is the continent's largest permanent land dweller and its apex land predator. Beyond the ice-free coastal fringes, the interior is essentially a biological void, home only to microscopic organisms. It is a world dominated by ice, with some sheets stretching down over 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers deep, locking away 70% of the Earth's fresh water in a frozen vault. But here's the twist. Antarctica hasn't always been a white wasteland. Geologically speaking, its icy era is a recent development. Just 34 million years ago, during the Eocene, this was a lush, green world. But to see Antarctica at its most vibrant and terrifying, we have to go back even further, long before the age of mammals, to a time when dinosaurs claimed the South Pole as their own. To understand the Jurassic version of Antarctica, you have to throw the modern map out the window. During this period, the supercontinent of Pangaea was in the slow process of fracturing, but Antarctica was still a central hub in the southern supercontinent of Gondwana. It shared borders with what would eventually become Australia and India. While it was certainly southern, it wasn't perched directly over the pole like it is today. Its latitude was more comparable to the southern tips of modern-day Chile or Argentina. Thanks to high levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide, the Mesozoic era was much warmer than today. There were no glaciers here. Instead, the horizon was filled with ancient conifers, ferns, and cycads. A visitor to Jurassic Antarctica wouldn't see ice sheets, but a labyrinth of rivers, sprawling lakes, and dense swamps. This environment was an open invitation for life, and it didn't take long for the first dinosaurs to RSVP. The most famous window into this era is the Hansen Formation on Mount Kirkpatrick. Today, this site is a jagged, frozen peak, but 190 million years ago, it felt more like a temperate rainforest, with temperatures averaging 17 degrees to 18 degrees Celsius, 63 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Roaming these woods were primitive dinosaurs like small neotheropods and ornithischians. There were also massospondylid, early relatives of the famous long-necked sauropods. These weren't the giants we usually imagine. Many were bipedal and no bigger than a modern deer. However, some were beginning to scale up, such as Glacialosaurus, which reached lengths of 6 meters, 20 feet, and weighed as much as an Asian elephant. Interestingly, Jurassic Antarctica was a bit of an evolutionary time capsule. Primitive species lived side by side with more advanced, derived sauropods. It would be like walking out of your house today and seeing a group of Homo erectus setting up camp in your backyard, a strange overlap of the old and the new. Of course, where there is prey, there is a predator. In Jurassic Antarctica, that role belonged to Cryolophosaurus, the frozen crested lizard. Discovered in 1994, this dinosaur earned the nickname Elvisaurus because of the bizarre forward-curving crest on its head that looks remarkably like a 1950s pompadour. This crest wasn't for fighting, it was hollow and delicate, likely used for visual displays to attract mates. But don't let the Elvis hair fool you. At 7 meters, 23 feet long, and weighing nearly 700 kilograms, 1,500 pounds, it was the largest predator of the early Jurassic. It was a specialist hunter, equipped with inward curving teeth and powerful claws. Evidence suggests these predators lived in a world of high stakes. Paleontologists have found signs of cannibalism and scavenging among Cryolophosaurus remains. One find even suggests a juvenile scavenged the carcass of a much larger adult. This desperation might have been fueled by the environment itself. The Jurassic Antarctic was a volcanic powder keg. Frequent eruptions caused massive wildfires and pyroclastic flows, turning parts of this green paradise into a blackened graveyard under immense ecological pressure. As the millions of years ticked by, the world continued to shift. By roughly 160 million years ago, Antarctica began to drift away from Gondwana. It eventually bid a slow farewell to India and Australia, becoming more isolated. By the late Cretaceous, 85 million years ago, Antarctica was largely on its own, connected to its neighbors only by occasional land bridges. Paradoxically, as it became more isolated, it became more hospitable. The climate turned humid and seasonal. Summer highs could reach 25 degrees Celsius, 77 degrees Fahrenheit, similar to modern-day Kenya. The forests evolved too, now dominated by flowering plants and the ancestors of modern southern beaches, Nothofagus. The armored warrior with a macuohuitl, while one of the most iconic residents of this era was Antarctopelta, an ankylosaur about the size of a bison. Like its northern cousins, it was covered in bony plates called osteoderms, but its real secret weapon was its tail. Unlike the famous Ankylosaurus with its heavy bone club, Antarctopelta had a tail lined with flattened, sharp osteoderms. This structure looked almost exactly like a macuohuitl, the obsidian-edged wooden sword used by Aztec warriors. Historical accounts claim a macuohuitl could decapitate a horse in a single blow. Imagine that power scaled up to a dinosaur the size of a car. Who was Antarctopelta defending itself against? Enter Imperobator, the powerful warrior. Standing 3 meters, 10 feet long, this was a formidable Paravian predator. While it looked like a large, fluffy raptor, it lacked the iconic sickle claw on its toe. Instead, Imperobator relied on sheer athleticism and a mouth full of serrated, blade-like teeth. Because of Antarctica's high latitude, the continent experienced months of perpetual winter darkness. Imperobator evolved large, powerful eyes to hunt in the shadows. The thought of being tracked through a 4-month-long night by a feathered, 10-foot-long killing machine is the stuff of nightmares. There were other predators too, including a mysterious, yet-to-be-named Mecharaptoran. Based on bone fragments, it stood about 2.4 meters, 8 feet tall, and likely used massive hand claws to skewer its prey like a shish kebab. If the land was dangerous, the water was a suicide mission. The seas surrounding Cretaceous Antarctica were home to what I call the Mesozoic trifecta: mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and terrifying prehistoric sharks. Mosasaurs were the undisputed kings of the shallows. In Antarctica, we find species like Mosasaurus lemonieri. This 10-meter, 33-foot beast had a unique hunting style. Its lower jaw was highly flexible, allowing it to perform ratchet feeding. It would bite its prey and then walk its jaws over the animal, pulling it slowly and inevitably down its throat. Even the rivers weren't safe. The Plioplatycarpus, a smaller but more agile mosasaur, has been found in prehistoric riverbeds. This means that even if you were drinking from a freshwater stream miles inland, a marine reptile could potentially lunge out of the murky depths to claim you. And then there were the sharks. The most famous was Cretalamna, a relative of the ancestor of the megalodon. At 5 meters, 16 feet long, it was a generalist predator that ate everything from turtles to small mosasaurs. But the real weirdness lived deeper down. The Scapanorhynchus, a giant prehistoric goblin shark, patrolled the Antarctic coasts. While modern goblin sharks are sluggish deep-sea dwellers, Scapanorhynchus was a high-performance hunter. It grew to 6.7 meters, 22 feet, and weighed over a ton. It used its long snout to detect the electrical fields of prey in the dark, meaning it could find you even if the water was pitch black. High above this chaotic world, the sky was ruled by giants. In 2019, evidence was found of a massive pterosaur with a wingspan of over 5 meters, 16 feet. This creature was longer than an African elephant is tall. It was likely an Ajdarchid, a group of pterosaurs known to hunt on land, meaning nowhere, not the land, the sea, or the air, was truly safe. But this golden age of Antarctic life was destined for a violent end. Around 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. You might think Antarctica, being on the literal opposite side of the world, would have been a safe haven. It wasn't. Studies of over 6,000 Antarctic fossils show a catastrophic collapse. The impact triggered a magnitude 4 earthquake, even at that distance. Massive tsunamis over 10 meters, 33 feet tall, and a global nuclear winter as dust choked out the sun. Approximately 70% of Antarctic species vanished almost instantly. The dinosaurs were gone, the mosasaurs were erased, and the green forests began their long, slow retreat into the ice. Antarctica eventually recovered, hosting a new cast of strange mammals and birds before finally freezing over for good. But for one glorious, terrifying stretch of time, the coldest place on Earth was a steaming, vibrant jungle of giants